Welcome to the open floor. I am your host, Aaron Ace, and I have an episode that is kind of impromptu today that I think is something that I've been wanting to share for a while. And if you're new here, or if this is a revisit for you, I think this episode is going to be very important, very impactful. It's going to be a shorter episode, but I just want to get straight into it. If you haven't subscribed, if you're not following, please do so. You guys know the deal. But I really hope at the end of this episode, I've given you some value in encouraging you to take a chance on yourself. And I kind of want to give you just a brief background of why this episode exists. So, um, this podcast, this YouTube channel, The Open Floor, has been a work in progress for some time. And I've had a podcast. I have a podcast that I started in 2024 called, it started off as a third quarter podcast, and then it morphed into the in-between. And the in-between kind of is very prophetic to where I am right now. My birthday is 2 weeks from today. So today is Good Friday. So happy, well, today is the day we celebrate the crucifixion of Christ. And then on Sunday, of course, is the resurrection. So happy Good Friday to those that celebrate. But the in-between was a very prophetic title to name the podcast, because for 6 years, starting in 2020, my social media has been a branding thing for me, where I blew up on TikTok during COVID. July 2nd, 2020 was the very first video that I posted on TikTok. And I really felt led to go there. It wasn't a decision where I was like, I want to go on TikTok and go viral and build an audience. I couldn't explain it. Only thing I can say was, I really felt God wanted me to do that. And I did a prayer. I don't remember what the prayer was about, but I did a prayer on TikTok and didn't really think anything of it. Times were going crazy. My businesses were consolidated like everyone. So I was figuring that out. There was just a lot going on. I was living by myself. And those times are very uncertain. And it's kind of crazy to say 6 years ago is when COVID started. It seems like yesterday. But a month into making content on TikTok, I had a video that went viral, and it did over 1 million views in like 3 days. And at that point, I was starting to get anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 new followers a day on TikTok. Now, at that time, I wasn't posting anything on Instagram. It was just TikTok, because, and this is kind of the reason why I want to make this video, something's in my eye. I was very insecure and uncertain about what I was doing on TikTok, because my Instagram account was all fitness and just random things, right? So I owned a fitness company at the time when I started putting stuff out on TikTok. And I was very hyper-focused on how I was going to be perceived as all of a sudden doing prayers and encouraging words. And at that time, people knew, I was a faith-based person, Christian, went to church. I would put that on my stories, but I never really would put that stuff on my feed. And I would say probably around the fall time of 2020, I started to migrate the content on Instagram. So over a period of, 5 years, my following went to over, 1.5 million people across social media platforms. Like, it got really big, really fast. In 2023, I kind of went through a very, very difficult time. I was doing a lot. Social media was like a full-time thing. I'm traveling across the country to speak at events, give messages at churches, speaking at churches, doing virtual events. I was still doing my fitness business at the time. I was a one-person show. I was coaching and consulting people. I was also very active in my church, where I was helping usher in a new youth ministry. So helping build that up from the ground up with some incredible people that I was doing that with. And, I was burning the candle at both ends. And I also was in a very interesting place with my health and wellness where I gained a lot of weight. I was about 275, 280 pounds around that time. I'm 6'1". And to kind of give you an idea, right now I fluctuate between, I'm probably like low twos, like 203, 204 right now. So I've lost, but last fall was like 191, 192. So I've lost anywhere between 80 to 90 pounds since then. And I was just not in a good place where just mentally, emotionally, spiritually was just not good. And I ended up packing everything up and going back to Michigan for 2 years. In that 2-year period, I reclaimed my health and my wellness, but I also felt like I was going through a transition creatively. Now, behind the scenes, if you know Aaron, since I was a kid, and we talked about this, the majority of what we're talking about, we're going to talk about health and wellness. We're going to talk about God. We're going to talk about personal development. But a lot of what I talk about is movies, TV, sports, wrestling. I'm a pop culture dude through and through. That just runs through my blood. And I love talking about movies. I love talking about culture. I love talking about stuff like that. But I never brought it into my social media. I never really talked about it. Like I would put some stuff here or there in my stories, but never really talked about it like on my main feed and made it something that I talked about. And so when I created the Third Quarter podcast, it was mainly a personal development type pod. And it was great. It got to the point where, me and my producing partner, one of my best friends, Kyle, we got the podcast to a top 100 podcast in a very short period of time. And it was crazy. It was great. I loved it. I love making pods. I love recording. But there was a part of me that felt like there's more in me that wants to come out. Having a big social media following is great, but for me, I'm just going to speak on behalf of myself, it was also very suffocating because I built such a big following really doing one thing, showing one aspect of me, right? And when you're in a place where validation and people pleasing is something that you struggle with your whole life, there was a tendency for me to continue to play this part where I felt like I had to continue to make prayer videos and encouraging messages, all things that I do like already with the camera on or off. But I felt like I was giving a piece of me. I wasn't giving all of me. And everything that I was doing, whether it was the coaching, it was the consulting, all those things were all great. It felt like it was the next evolution of what I was doing. But I felt like creatively I was starving. Like there was more for me to do. And I had more opinions. I had more perspective. I had, one of my producing partner, Kyle, who I was just talking about, before I moved back to California, I moved back to California June of 2025. Before I moved back, it was around my birthday of 2025. So April, my birthday is April 17th. And we met up and we were just talking about the podcast. And he said something to me that really stuck out. And he said, "You know what, bro, you've lived a lot of lives." And I was like, "What do you mean?" It's like, you're biracial. You have a white dad, black mom. You have 3 white brothers, 2 black brothers. One of your brothers passed away you were the closest with. You played basketball. You had dreams of turning pro. You had 3 knee surgeries. You moved to New York, was modeling. You were acting. You've had nervous breakdowns. You've had panic attacks. Packed up and drove across country. He drove across country with me the first time I moved to LA. I slept on the couch my first 2 years in California. I got off the couch, started my own business. It was successful. Had to consolidate in COVID, went virtual. Social media goes crazy. Now I'm doing public speaking and traveling. Then I realized that my life was not going the way that I wanted to go, and I had to rehabilitate my life. And now I'm in this place now. And it's like, you've lived a lot of lives, and I've known you for pretty much half of your life. And there's parts of you that I feel like you're not allowing yourself to share. And that always stuck with me. And so when I came back to LA, started doing the podcast again. It didn't feel as connected as it was the first time. And so I was changing the titles, and it went from this thing to this thing, and then it became the in-between, where it felt like I was in this in-between place where I'm not where I used to be. I'm not who I used to be, but I'm also not where I feel like I'm headed. I'm like in the middle part, I'm in the in-between. And that led me to this place right now, and which is why I want to talk to you. The main reason why it took me this long to do this was because I was very overly concerned of how people were going to perceive that, just like how it was why it took me so long to post my TikTok content on Instagram. To go from personal development and mindset and faith and limiting beliefs and all that stuff to talk about movies, to talk about shows, to talk about wrestling and sports, to talk about these things didn't really seem like something that would make sense. And someone that cares a lot about what people think to a fault, I'm always calculating how things look and if it makes sense, if it's connected. And I couldn't figure out how to connect my stuff I want to do with pop culture to my coaching brand and my fitness and all that stuff. It felt like I was being two different people. But it got to the point where I was just like, I have to do this. And it really, really hit me this year during Super Bowl when Bad Bunny performed. I made a video about why I loved his halftime show. And I talked about my thoughts and my perspective on it. And when I did that, it got a lot of views, but more importantly, it had a lot of engagement. A lot of people were putting their comments in, whether they agree with me or disagreed with me. And it wasn't about how many views it got. It was mainly about how many people actually felt compelled to say something. And the content that I've been putting out for 5 years was kind of just one way. It was like, it didn't make, I felt like it wasn't making people think. It wasn't causing people to have an opinion. It was really kind of causing everyone to agree. And I think a part of having a voice and having a perspective is also understanding that it's important to put your perspective and your view on things out there for something that you can talk about and something that you're passionate and you care about and you feel compelled and you have, it's something that you really want to talk about and do. It's also important to understand to welcome people that don't share the same belief. But you usually are going to get people to agree or disagree with you when you actually stand for something. And I felt like the last 5 years, although I enjoyed what I was doing and my content was good, it also was kind of safe. And I've been feeling this urge to kind of share more of my perspective and share more of my views on something and not really care about, not necessarily don't care about, but welcome people that have a difference of opinion, because now I believe I'm in a place where I can get that and not have it, make me feel any kind of way. But I guess I got tired of silencing myself when it comes to my art, my creativity, my perspective. And so the point of this episode is I share that with you because I'm in a place where if you're listening to this right now, you feel like there's something out there for you. You feel like there's something more for you to say. There's something that you want to do, whether start a business or start a YouTube channel or a podcast or write a book or start a Substack. Like you have a perspective on something. There's something that really interests you. There's something that really calls you, but you feel like people are going to think it's stupid. It's not like the other things that you talk about. It feels weird. It feels like no one would get it. It feels like, you're just going to do it and no one's going to listen to it. No one's going to read it. No one's going to watch it. I'm here to tell you that they will. One of my biggest challenges in doing this open floor channel is I also gave myself permission to do that without worrying about what the metrics were. Without worrying about how many subscribers or how many people download the episode, how many people viewed it. It's not about that. It's about me giving myself permission to put my voice out there and to lend my perspective to the world and the things that I care about and the things that I believe I have a perspective that's different from most people and can be delivered in a way that only I can deliver it. So I'm taking my gift of communication that has served me so well in my life in other areas, and now I'm putting it into a space where creatively and artistically I really, really care about. And this whole thing that I'm doing right now is about giving myself permission. But I also understand that sometimes the permission you give yourself also helps give someone else the permission for them. And so one of the things that helps me continue to do this, even in my mind, are still moments to this day where I make a video or I want to do something. And I'm like, this is so fucking dumb. Like, no one wants to listen to this. No one gives a shit about my take on Sinners or Marty Supreme or WrestleMania 42. Like, who cares? The thing that keeps me going is someone's going to watch that video or listen to that episode, and it's going to unlock themselves, giving them permission to do the thing that they've been putting off. And that's what this is all about. This isn't about me. This is about we. And yes, this is my channel. This is what I want to talk about. But this is really also about building community of people, of lending their voice or their writing or their talent into an avenue or medium that serves it the best. Unlocking the thing that you've been suppressing for so long and giving yourself permission to do it. That's what this is about. And, you know, learning to create without permission is very, very challenging for me because I've always been someone since I was a kid that was always calculating risks and being aware of my surroundings and, you know, wanting to make sure everybody was okay and like walking on eggshells, that I conditioned myself to silence the parts of me that I thought would create some type of, not chaos, but friction. And I highlighted the parts of me that would create the most ease. And although that has served me well all through my life, I'll be 39 in 2 weeks, exactly 2 weeks from today. I don't want to spend my last year of my 30s playing it safe. I don't want to come into my 40s like hanging on to yesterday. I want to enter this new year of not starting over, but starting anew. And I'm still coaching people. I still train people. I still consult founders of 7-figure, 8-figure businesses. Not trying to stunt, but I do that. I am very, very elite at what I do, right? Very, very elite. But I also know that is a part of me. That is not all of me. And I want to start utilizing all of me. So it's the same me, just being dispersed and expressed in 2 different buckets. So I'm not going to stop being a trainer. I'm not going to stop being a fitness coach. I'm not going to stop being an executive coach for founders and CEOs. I'm still going to do that. But I'm also going to be the person that loves culture, that has a voice for sports and media and movies and shows and my perspective on the world, how I see it. I'm also going to do that too. And I want you that if you can take away anything from this, it is the world needs all of you, not just some of you. There's someone out there that needs to see you in all of your light, not just some of your light. And I don't know what that is for you. Only you do. Only you and God know. But this episode has nothing to do with reviews, takes, perspective on pop culture, music, or anything. This has everything to do with giving yourself permission to create and be the fullest expression of you. The you that you are when no one's watching, there's no camera, it's just you and your closest friends, what you talk about, what you gravitate towards, what you like to read, what you like to listen to, what perspective you have. What do you see out in the world that you have a perspective and a viewpoint that you don't really see people talk about? What lens do you look through life at? That's what I'm talking about. And I know when you do it, it's going to feel weird. It's going to feel cringe. It's going to feel stupid. It's going to feel all those things. But I promise you that with the reps of you showing up, you're going to build this new muscle where it's just like, even when you do feel those feelings, the feeling when you're done, when you upload or when you send it, when you share it, it's going to override all those insecurities and doubts and worries from before. And I'll tell you this, one way that I have combated the doubts and the anxiety of sharing all this is acting fast. So when I pulled up to the house today, I was like, you know what? I think I want to make something about what we're talking about today. And I knew I had like 30 minutes or so before I had a client session on Zoom. And I was like, instead of waiting till that's done, I'm going to do it now. And what that does, now tapping to my coaching brain, is you take the shortest time that it takes you to go from idea to action is how you build the muscle of consistency and building that override muscle that when doubt comes in, it doesn't stay that long because action comes right after that. But the length of time that you go from idea to action, that gap, that's when doubt gets filled in, worry, shame, guilt, it's not going to work out, your past, all those limiting beliefs filled that gap. But as soon as you go from idea to action, that short period of time, that's when greatness comes. That's when your best comes. That's when the real you shows up, is when you shorten that time. So when you have an idea, don't just wait. Go for it. Do it. Even if it's just for you, even if you just make it and you don't share it, to see you do the thing is the most important thing. And so I'll close with this. If you have a voice, use it. If you have a perspective, share it. Stop waiting for people to approve the version of you that's already trying to come out. Sometimes the permission you're waiting for is just yours to give. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your season. There's nobody in the world that's like you. There's no one in the world that's ever been like you. And there's never going to be anyone in the world that'll ever be like you. So what shame would it be if you never gave us the world you? I hope this inspires you. I hope it encourages you. I hope it just planted a seed for you to take action in some type of way, because I can't wait to see the art that you put out. And please believe, as soon as you do it, let me know. I'll be right there to watch it in the front row. I love you so much. Thank you for listening to The Open Floor. And if you haven't done so yet, subscribe, follow wherever you get your pod and on YouTube. Until next time, peace out.